Hello everyone, I think many of you know what a huge marshmallow is. We cooked a lot of different things on a huge scale, so let's cook this too. One of the most important components of marshmallow is gelatin. Open up some bags and pour it into a bowl. Done. A total of 800 grains of gelatin turned out, but in order to able to work normally, we open up 3 liters of water. And pour in the gelatin. Stir. Literally after 2 minutes, it begins to swell. Also, for a huge marshmallow, you will need some sugar. We open it up and pour out 8 kilograms into a bowl. You also need 2 cans of corn syrup, salt, vanilla extract, and 2 liters of water. All the ingredients are ready. Let's start making the marshmallows. A saucepan on the scales, and we shift the swollen gelatin. Namely 250 grams. Put this on the stove and stir constantly. The gelatin should melt. Done. Now we put the second saucepan on the scales and pour exactly 800 grams of sugar into it. Pour 200 milliliters of water in, and corn syrup. Add 320 grams. Put that on the stove. Bring to a boil and cook the syrup for 9 minutes. It should acquire a yellowish color. Meanwhile, pour the melted gelatin into the bowl of the mixer. Open the vanilla extract and add a couple of drops. Add salt and put it on the mix. The caramel is already ready. We put in a thin trickle into the mixer. The mass is quickly mixed, foamed and cooled. 10 minutes and we have a full bowl of dense foam. We will use a high saucepan as a mold. To prevent anything from sticking later, we spray the oil. And smear it around with a brush on all the inner walls of the pan. Also sprinkle with starch. That's it, you can pour in our first form. For the first portion, we install the bowl and do the same thing. And we need to redo this 6 more times. Fill the final layer. And level it out with a slide. Let the mass cool down for 10 hours. Our sweet substance has already set. Sprinkle some cornstarch on top so that it doesn't stick. And let's take out our huge marshmallow. Hooray, everything worked! Sprinkle with starch from all sides again. Look at how soft and spongy it turned out, just like a store-bought marshmallow. And it tastes even tastier, since there is no taste of chemical flavoring. Turn the marshmallow onto its side. We took a stick like this, sharpened it, and tried to put marshmallows on it to start a fire. But the marshmallow started to tear under its own weight. Therefore, we rejected this idea and decided to cut the marshmallows into convenient pieces for eating. Done. We got a lot of delicious homemade marshmallows. Hello everybody, a Kinder Surprise is probably the most desirable sweet for any children that you can buy in the supermarket. Although I don't think that any adults would turn it down either. So let's open up the Kinder. In fact, it's just an egg made with chocolate. Rather, of 2 types, milk and white. And inside it has a yellow capsule that you can find a toy in when you open it. Maybe it just seems like it to me, but these toys were much more interesting in my childhood. Over the past 6 months, I have been thinking in detail about how to make a giant Kinder Surprise so that it turns out to be perfect, just like a factory-made one. And finally, I came up with it. Please give this video your likes in advance, and now let's start. Have you ever wondered how chocolate was made? There are whole plantations where cocoa fruits are grown. We bought 4 of these ripe fruits. They are very large and cumbersome. We break it into 2 parts, and we see the white seeds inside. These are ripe cocoa beans, but to turn them into chocolate, they need to be processed for a long time. We transfer them to a wooden barrel. And cover them with saran wrap. The beans will be in this barrel for 7 days and fermented. Well, it's time to retrieve them. Excellent. Our cocoa beans have been fermented and smell pleasantly like vinegar. We take a dryer like this and put all our beans in it. We set it to 40 degrees and turn it on. That way they continue drying for another 7 days. A week has passed and the cocoa beans are dehydrated. But to make a giant kinder, this is definitely not enough. So I bought some more dry cocoa beans. They look exactly like ours. These beans are raw, so we go outside and pour 2 bags of beans into the cauldron. We still need to chop wood. Let's open the stove and put some crumpled paper and small firewood into it. Kindle the fire. When it is flared up, we begin to mix the cocoa beans. That way they fry more evenly. After about 10 minutes of roasting, they begin to smell very tasty. There for about 5 more minutes and you can check. The husks should easily come off the roasted cocoa beans. We remove them from the fire. The roasting stage has been passed. Now we take another bowl. We remove the shell from each cocoa bean. We break the core and transfer to the second bowl. We get these kind of cocoa nibs. We use this as the main raw material for making milk chocolate. We also bought a box like this. We open it. And inside we see a lot of cocoa butter. It looks and feels like an all-in-one laundry soap. So that it can be quickly melted later, we set it up with a knife. This is a very sticky process. Two hours later, we got a whole basin of finely crushed cocoa butter. In order to properly make chocolate, you need a machine called a mélanger. In fact, this is an electric mill with such stone millstones. We grind cocoa nibs, milk powder, sugar, and cocoa butter into it. We collect 1 kilogram of cocoa nibs and pour it into the mélanger. A full glass of powdered milk, a glass of sugar, and turn it on. All the ingredients are mixed and gradually ground into a more delicate powder. Add some cocoa butter. It will gradually warm up from friction and the mass will become. And now it just takes time. The grains will become smaller and smaller. In the meantime, let's turn on another machine called Marmite. It will heat the chocolate so that it remains a liquid. Fill it with water up to the maximum. We set it on 2 and turn it on. 2 hours have passed. The chocolate has become even thinner. To make it taste familiar to us, we add vanilla extract. And in factory chocolate, a powder called soy lecithin is used. We need to add quite a lot of it. It is completely harmless, and it is only made to use to make the chocolate more liquidy. The chocolate has been 3 hours in mélanger. We turn it off, and we pour it into the gastric capacity. The first portion of natural milk chocolate is ready. We put the tray into the Marmite so that the chocolate doesn't freeze. Now we load the next batch. This time, for the mélanger to grind the cocoa nibs faster, we pour it in gradually. Then gradually pour in cocoa butter. When the mass has become a liquid, gradually it's sugar, milk powder, and other additives. We wait another 2.5 hours and pour the chocolate into our tray. And for the third time, we add more powdered milk and 4 hours of stirring. It turned out very nice, perfectly glossy milk chocolate. We also transfuse it. It took us 2 days to fill the tray to the brim. We mix all of these things together, and we're done. The next stage is tempering. You may ask, why is this necessary? I'll show you an example of 2 tiles. We filled one with melted chocolate, and the second with tempered. After solidification, we take them out. And the one that is just melted melts very quickly, remaining in your hands. But the tempered chocolate is glossy. To it, cocoa butter crystals are combined into a strong crystal lattice. Therefore, when you break it, there's a crunch. In order to temper a large volume of chocolate, we increase the heating. And constantly stirring, we heat the chocolate to 45 degrees. We get the tray out, and let's go outside. We put it onto a cold tile. Constantly stirring, literally in 15 minutes the chocolate should cool down to exactly 25 degrees. That's it, we return the chocolate back to the heat and heat it up to 31 degrees. This is the end of tempering. We will pour chocolate into such large egg halves. I ordered these forms 6 months ago at a factory in America, and now they have arrived. These forms cost 20,000 hryvnias, or 54,000 rubles. So, we open the alcohol, pour it into the mold, and rub it around with a napkin. So that way it'll be perfectly clean and the chocolate will shine. Done. Now we send the forms to the freezer for 1 hour. They should be cool completely. Now that the molds are icy, we scoop up the chocolate, pour it into the mold, and distribute evenly. The chocolate seizes instantly. Fill it as evenly as possible so that there are even walls of the same thickness everywhere. We drain the excess chocolate back in. One more time, we put it into the freezer. And we fill in the forms again. And one more go around. The forms are always very heavy and you can't twist them in your hands. Therefore, we pour the chocolate along the walls and smear it around with a spatula. That way, we filled up all the milk chocolate. But there is also a white one in Kinder. So let's do that. We need cocoa butter, milk powder, sugar, and soy lecithin. And of course, a melanger. We collect a full measuring cup of cocoa butter. We turn on the melanger and begin to pour in very gradually. There is literally 1/3 teaspoon of soy lecithin. We collect 700 grams of sugar and gradually pour it in. Well, we've got a full measuring cup of powdered milk. And now it just takes time. Grains of powdered milk and sugar will decrease and interfere with the butter. The correct consistency will be happening in 2 hours later. Pour our homemade white chocolate into the Marmite. We cooked white chocolate for 15 hours. And we also temper it. And we also pour that into the mold the same way. And smear it around with a spatula. We poured white chocolate in one very long approach. While you were smearing one form, the second one has time to freeze, so you can change them around like that. Now the chocolate egg halves are ready. Let's make an integral part of the Kinder Surprise, namely the yellow capsule. To do this, we bought a plastic barrel for 20 liters. We bend the fastenings for the handle and remove them. The barrel is shaped like a capsule, but not in color. Therefore, we unscrew from the lid and take it to a safe place for painting. Shake the cans with spray paint and cover the barrel with yellow. We completely painted it in 3 approaches. Now we've got a big yellow capsule like that. In my opinion, it kind of looks like the original. What kind of gift will we put inside? I thought everything out in advance and I bought a big Bluetooth speaker on the internet. We opened it up and put it inside, as well as wires and instructions. That's it, you can close it. We put our surprise in one of the Kinder halves. We take out the second one. Perfect. At first, we just melted the edge of the chocolate with a burner and tried to install the second half of the egg on top. But they did not dock, and there were very large gaps. Therefore, we take out the other half. With a knife, we cut off the uneven edge. And try it again. This way it worked out more or less pretty smooth. And to glue these 2 halves together, we pass the white chocolate along the joint. Now our Kinder is ready. But what kind of Kinder would it be without colorful packaging? To make that, we take the molds again and line the foil on top of them, gluing each layer with double-sided tape. Next, you need acrylic paints, rollers, brushes, and pencils. First, you need to make a red and white background. And then we apply multicolored inscriptions. In my opinion, it turned out really nice. So we put the lower part of the wrapper on the floor. Carefully lower our Kinder into it. And together with the foil, we lift it back up. We put the other half of the package on top. We connect the planes and fix it with a stapler. With scissors, cut off the excess foil. And gently bend the edge. Now we just have to paint the gaps. And this giant Kinder Surprise is completely ready. It turns out very nice and beautiful. This time we repeated it almost one-on-one. Taking into account the forms, the machine for making chocolate and products, it cost us 50,000 hryvnias. This is 136,000 rubles, and it took us 5 days to prepare it. So answer me one question. Who will experience the most joy when they see this huge Kinder? Of course it is children. Therefore, we mask it with a golden cloth, load it into the car, and take it to the mother and child's house. The children were very happy and just tore up at this Kinder Surprise.